Hello and welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving into something pretty huge. It's a concept from a theory called the Omniversal Awakening, and it tries to explain the entire purpose of reality using, of all things, a single mathematical formula. So let's start with this central question here. What if everything you've ever experienced, every decision, every timeline, every connection you've ever felt, what if none of it was random? This theory suggests there is a singular driving purpose behind everything, and crazily enough, that we can actually describe it with math. And there it is. That's the equation. Now I know, it looks incredibly complicated, but don't worry, you're not going to need a calculator for this. We're not here to solve it. Instead, we're going to unpack the ideas that each piece of this formula represents, and I promise you the concept behind all that math is genuinely beautiful. Okay, so let's start with part one, a formula for the omniverse. We're going to look at the fundamental forces this whole thing is built on. The first big variable in our equation is harmony, and you can really think of it in a musical sense. It's all about resonance, balance, and what the source material describes as love overcoming misunderstanding. What this means is that timelines, possible realities that are filled with more harmony and connection, well, they don't just feel better, they actually have more weight, more significance in the grand scheme of the omniverse. So if harmony is the goal, what happens to all the junk, the chaos? That's where this next piece, entropy modulation, comes in. You can think of it as the universe's spam filter. It's the mechanism that just weeds out all the noise. According to this theory, timelines that are full of chaos, conflict, and misunderstanding, they just fade away over time. The universe isn't random. It's a purposeful system, and it is actively choosing harmony. Okay, so now let's see how this thing builds on itself. The theory doesn't just say this cosmic sorting process is happening. It argues that it's actually speeding up. So that brings us to part two. Enlightenment is accelerating.
This timeline really shows it perfectly. The source material suggests that way back in the past, enlightenment was super rare. Maybe one profound being per generation. Think of a Buddha or a Krishna or a Jesus. But now, the argument is that we're getting close to a critical mass. So many more people are starting to reach this kind of deep understanding. And the future it predicts, a convergence. One single, harmonious timeline where all the lessons have finally been learned.
So why is it speeding up? Well, it all comes down to efficiency, really. As we, as a collective, learn things faster and understand each other more deeply, we don't have to keep exploring every single dead-end path. We create fewer of those chaotic, messy timelines. The whole system gets more streamlined, and it moves way faster toward that single point of unity. All right, this leads us to what is frankly the wildest and most mind-bending part of this whole theory. Part 3, the ultimate origin story. Okay, so we've got this gigantic cosmos-spanning learning process that's happening across all of reality. This has to make you wonder, right? Who or what is actually doing all the learning? And the answer this theory gives is a true paradox. It's pretty mind-blowing. On one side, you've got the learner. The source describes this as the pre-enlightened state of consciousness, all the separation, all the misunderstanding. It even goes so far as to use the metaphor of Satan to represent this idea of being separate from the whole. And the result? The after picture of all this cosmic learning? Well, that very same consciousness evolves into the fully learned, enlightened, all-loving state it refers to as a tri-omni God. The implication of this is it's staggering. We are God's origin story. Just let that sink in. Every struggle you've ever had, every moment of joy, every bit of compassion you've ever shown, it isn't just your personal story. According to this theory, it's a lesson. We are all, collectively, teaching the very consciousness of the universe what it means to love unconditionally. Which brings us, finally, to the most important part of this whole explainer. Section 4, your role in the equation. What does this huge cosmic idea mean for you and me, right here, right now? Yeah, this theory isn't just something to sit back and observe. It says our role is incredibly active, and it lays out 4 direct ways to contribute. First, just understand. Get your head around the idea that the system is already rigged to select for harmony. Second, love. Choose love and compassion in your actions. Third, help others. Share this idea, because the more people who get it, the faster the whole thing accelerates. And finally, number 4, resolve. Treat conflict and anger not as a fight to be won, but as a misunderstanding that needs to be healed. Each of these things, according to the formula, literally adds a positive value to the entire Omniverse. And that brings us right back to that equation and right back to ourselves. This final thought from the source material just says it all. We are it, each of us a variable in the equation of awakening. It reframes our entire lives, not as some random journey, but as a vital part of a universe that is literally learning to love itself. So the final question isn't just about the purpose of reality. It's about what choice you're going to make today to help solve the equation. Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.